Good evening. This is World News. Tonight, the fog of war and repression deepens across the Middle East, from disputed death tolls inside Iran to executions that may be still underway, to military signals, some confirmed, some denied, that suggest the region is edging close to a wider confrontation. We begin tonight with Iran, where the protests may have faded, but the accounting of the dead is only getting louder. Now, the streets of Iran have fallen largely silent after weeks of nationwide unrest. But silence does not mean closure. What remains fiercely contested is the number of people killed in the crackdown. Official figures are scarce. Independent verification is difficult. And a sweeping internet blackout has made transparency almost impossible. Human rights groups now warn the real death toll could be far higher than what the world has been told.
What if tens of thousands of people were killed and most of the world never saw it happen? More evidence is now emerging from Iran that the recent crackdown on nationwide protests may have left over 20,000 people dead. A figure that, if confirmed, would mark one of the deadliest episodes in the country's modern history. For weeks, much of this remained hidden behind a near-total internet blackout, but fragments are starting to break through. Since protests erupted late last year, security forces have responded with what human rights groups describe as extreme and coordinated force. With communication restricted, information has trickled out through doctors, families, and journalists operating outside the country, often at great personal risk to those inside Iran. According to the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Iran, medical reports from inside the country suggest the death toll could be far higher than previously believed, potentially exceeding 20,000 people. Independent organizations paint a grim picture. A US-based human rights group says it has already verified nearly 5,000 deaths, while reviewing thousands more suspected fatalities. At the same time, more than 26,000 people have reportedly been arrested. Iran's government has issued its own figures, acknowledging just over 3,000 deaths, including members of the security forces, but without clearly stating how many civilians were killed. The difference between these numbers raises serious questions. As more accounts surface, the statistics turn into faces. In the southern city of Shiraz, a flower shop owner reportedly sheltered protesters inside his store. Witnesses say that after the street appeared calm, he opened his door, only to be shot in the neck by security forces. In another case, a 19-year-old wrestler was reportedly killed by sniper fire during protests. His burial took place before dawn under government supervision. No public funeral was allowed. His family was later warned not to speak. These stories are becoming increasingly common. Sources inside Iran say hospitals and morgues are under intense security. Some report shortages of body bags, bodies stored in hallways, and families blocked from accessing medical records. They say details about the dead are being restricted, possibly to prevent the real scale of the killings from becoming public. With communications still limited, the full extent of what has happened across Iran may not be known for weeks or may never be fully documented. But as more evidence emerges, one thing is becoming clearer. This was not isolated violence. It was widespread, it was systematic, and it may have claimed tens of thousands of lives. The world is only beginning to uncover what happened.
Did Iran halt executions of protesters, or was that a claim that was misleading? Iranian refugees with contacts inside the country say the killings have not stopped. They describe survivors, mass shootings, and the involvement of multiple state forces, including elite units. And now the White House says it is watching closely with a warning that all options remain on the table.
Did Donald Trump stop a mass execution in Iran? Or did he claim credit for something that never happened? Because Iran's top prosecutor is now calling Trump's story completely false. Over the past week, President Trump repeatedly claimed that Iran had halted the execution of 800 detained protesters, suggesting U.S. pressure forced Tehran to back down. It was a powerful claim. It sounded like a breakthrough.
Election in Venezuela.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped, and it's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or an execution or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
But on Friday, Iran's judiciary publicly shut it down. Iran's top prosecutor, Mohammad Moahedi, said there was no such decision, no list of 800 prisoners, and no executions that were stopped because of U.S. intervention. His message was blunt. Iran does not take orders from foreign powers. And according to him, Trump's claim simply isn't true. Moahedi hinted that the figure may have come from Iran's foreign ministry, raising serious questions. Was Trump given bad intelligence? Did he misunderstand diplomatic messaging? Or did he exaggerate a claim to project leverage? Trump has never explained the source of the number. While officials trade statements, activists say the situation inside Iran is getting worse. According to UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Iran, at least 20,000 people have been killed in the government's crackdown on nationwide protests, and those numbers are likely incomplete. Iran is now under what activists describe as the most comprehensive internet blackout in its history, entering its third week, making verification dangerous and difficult. Despite denying Trump's claim, Iran's judiciary continues to label detainees as Moharib, or enemies of God. That charge carries the death penalty. It was used during mass executions in 1988 that killed thousands, making fears of future executions very real. So if executions were never halted, the danger hasn't passed. At the same time, the U.S. military is quietly escalating its posture. An American aircraft carrier strike group has moved into the Indian Ocean. Trump says it's just in case. Analysts say it gives him the option to strike without committing to it.
You know, we have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
Iranian officials and clerics responded with open mockery and threats, warning that U.S. bases across the region would become targets if Iran were attacked. State television aired footage of Iranian military drones, some identical to those used by Russia in Ukraine, along with thinly veiled threats toward Israel. Whether Trump was misled or misrepresented the situation, the result is the same. There is no confirmed halt to executions. The crackdown continues, and the risk of escalation, both inside Iran and beyond it, is growing.
Now, Iranian state-linked media is claiming that Israel has cancelled leave of many army personnel, a move typically associated with elevated operational alert. There is no confirmation from the Israeli Defense Forces, no official statement as of now, but in a region where signaling itself is a strategic tool, even unverified reports carry weight. If accurate, this could suggest preparation, not posturing.
Is Israel quietly preparing for war? Reports are now circulating that the Israeli military may have canceled Shabbat leave for all IDF soldiers, a move that, if true, could be a major warning sign of escalating conflict in the Middle East. As tensions between Iran and the United States continue to spiral, Israel may be sending a subtle but serious signal. Social media and regional observers claim that the Israel Defense Forces have restricted weekend leave, keeping troops on base during a period of extreme uncertainty. While major Israeli outlets haven't confirmed a blanket cancellation, the IDF has publicly stated it is on high alert and prepared for any scenario, which in itself suggests a heightened state of readiness. In Israel, canceling Shabbat or holiday leave isn't normal. Historically, the IDF only restricts leave during high alert periods or potential escalations, ensuring that troops are available for immediate deployment. So if this leave cancellation is real, it's not just a routine precaution. It's a signal that Israel anticipates serious threats, possibly including missile or drone attacks. Across the region, tensions are mounting. Iran is in turmoil, facing nationwide protests in a brutal crackdown, with death tolls exceeding 5,000 and thousands arrested. The U.S. has responded with a major military buildup, sending aircraft carriers, warships, and advanced air defenses toward the Gulf. President Trump called it a massive armada heading toward Iran just in case. Iran has threatened retaliation, including potential strikes on U.S. bases, escalating the risk of a wider conflict. Israel sits directly in the danger zone. Analysts warn that if Iran retaliates, Israeli targets could be hit either directly or through proxies like Hezbollah. Earlier this year, the military quietly scaled back large-scale holiday shutdowns to ensure year-round readiness, a policy shift prompted by lessons learned from past attacks. Now, amid Iran-US tensions, these preparations may be coming into effect, with troops on standby and leave restricted. If the Shabbat leave cancellation is real, it could indicate that Israel is preparing for possible Iranian missile or drone strikes, regional escalation involving proxy groups, coordinated military action with U.S. forces in case of conflict. Even without official confirmation, the timing and IDF posture suggests serious concern. No official war has been declared, no shots have been fired, but when a military quietly changes its routines, history shows it is often a precursor to major developments. Whether this is a precautionary measure or a warning to Tehran, the message is clear. The Middle East is on edge, and Israel is preparing for the worst.
And now the United Kingdom has also entered into the picture. London confirms it has deployed Typhoon fighter jets to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, describing the move as defensive but deliberate. It's a signal of reassurance to its allies and a reminder that Iran's crisis is no longer viewed as contained.
Is UK quietly preparing for war with Iran? British fighter jets have just been sent to the Gulf, joining a growing US military buildup as fears of a wider conflict continue to rise. In a major move that's raising eyebrows worldwide, the United Kingdom has deployed Royal Air Force Typhoon fighter jets to Qatar, reinforcing defenses in one of the most volatile regions on the planet. The UK government says the deployment is defensive, but the timing tells a bigger story. The Typhoon jets have been sent to Al Udeid Air Base near Doha, forming No. 12 Squadron, a joint RAF Qatari unit. The deployment was made at the invitation of Qatar and is meant to strengthen air defense across the Gulf. UK Defense Secretary John Healey said the move boosts security for both nations and supports stability in the region. But this isn't just a symbolic gesture. The Typhoon is a highly advanced multi-role fighter jet capable of intercepting aircraft, shooting down missiles, and destroying drones. Defense sources say the jets are particularly effective against Iranian Shahed drones, which Iran has used across the region and supplied to Russia in Ukraine. In other words, these jets are there for real-world threats. At the same time, the United States is dramatically increasing its presence. The USS Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group, equipped with F-35 fighter jets, is expected to arrive in the Gulf soon. It's accompanied by guided missile destroyers, submarines, and advanced air defense systems like Patriot and THAAD batteries. A second U.S. carrier is also reportedly on its way. President Trump described the fleet as an armada, saying it was sent toward Iran just in case.
You know, we have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
Defense analysts say the scale of the buildup goes beyond routine deterrence and is consistent with preparations for a potential U.S. strike on Iran. British officials have emphasized that the RAF presence adds an extra defensive layer, especially in case Iran retaliates against U.S. or allied bases. And that fear isn't hypothetical. Al Udeid Air Base hosts U.S. Central Command, making it one of the most important and most vulnerable military sites in the region. Iran has targeted the base before, launching missiles toward it after earlier U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. That history is a major reason Allied forces are reinforcing the area now. This isn't the UK's first move like this. Britain reinforced the region ahead of previous Iran-Israel clashes and sent Typhoons to Qatar during past crises, including the 12-day Iran-Israel conflict and earlier regional escalations. But combined with the current U.S. buildup, this deployment carries more weight. So are these forces here to prevent war or to prepare for it?
So, an uncertain death toll, contested executions, unconfirmed military alerts, and fresh deployments into the Gulf. We will continue tracking every signal and every shift on the ground. Meanwhile, that's world news for you tonight. Thanks for watching.